books, and friends have said to me, well, this is too heavy. I can't read it all at one time. You know, I have to read a little bit at a time and then come back. But I think it takes a while for some people to adjust to it because they haven't found people.
See, it's a new way of thinking.
A whole new way.
It's a completely new way of thinking about a problem. So it takes time, but I am impacted. I'm invited to speak on college campuses and at universities as well as other places. But it moves me almost to tears when, I'm not a person that's just breaking down and crying, but when somebody says, well, young black people are not reading. But when these students come to me, Dr. Welsing, will you autograph my book? And I see a book that has been used up.
Like this one here.
you see, like you were right, Danny. That's wonderful. You see, that's marvelous. I mean, that is a book that has been read and digested, and not necessarily doesn't mean that the reader is agreeing with everything, but people are reading the book and thinking, and this is marvelous. I mean, any book. Do you see anything that is inspiring young people to read and to think about their lives and think about the world in which they live and think about the universe. And so they get into it and turning the pages back and underlining in yellow and like it's almost falling apart. And Dr. Welsing, I had to buy a second copy. Somebody took my first one. Well, I'm not, I cannot condone that. Right, exactly.
Because I'm learning when I do that. That's a carryover from school, though.
You see, because I've been a teacher, and I'm also, my mother was a Chicago public school teacher, so the whole idea about learning and reading, do you see, and wanting people to read and wanting people to think and digest ideas and to toss ideas back and forth.
Reading is very important.
Reading.
How well I know
reading.
It. As an English major, I know that reading is very important. You suggest that we read at least
all
3
the
newspapers.
time. Read 3 newspapers a day so that you become surrounded by the ideas that are flowing in the culture. And also reading, traveling to, it's been very interesting to me. If you travel to Ohio, you pick up newspapers in the airport, and well, what are the people thinking? And how do the people think about problems in this particular area? That is also been very important.
Also, I'd like to mention someone of Mr. Neely Fuller's caliber. Here's a gentleman, he don't have a degree in anything except common sense. But the society looks down on people who are not degreed, who don't have letters.
Well, sometimes people might. Do you see, well, where did you go to school? Or where did you graduate? A degree doesn't mean that you have the capacity to think. It means that you've had certain opportunities. But people are born with incredible brain computers that have the ability to think.
Malcolm X.
Well, there are thousands, millions of people
that you could
that are manifestations of this. So I just tell people, I think that in the particular societal structure that we have, that a person who wants to maximize their opportunities will take themselves through the steps of getting credentials so that no one will say, well, you don't have this and so therefore you cannot do. But it doesn't mean that those persons who have those credentials are the only people who have the ability to think. I consider Neely Fuller to be one of the geniuses of our time. Now, he's a very modest person. He will object to my saying that and giving any kind of laudatory praise, because he says the problem that he is addressing, the problem of racism, white supremacy, has not been solved. And so none of us can really stand up for praise. We are people who are working on a problem, and we will see whether or not the ideas have great value if we are able to alter.
If I can quote a line from Mr. Ford, he says, if you don't understand white supremacy, racism, what it is and how it works, everything that you understand will only serve to confuse you.
I agree with that. Do you see? Because it's like a person who steps out on a football field and they think they want to participate in the action. but they don't understand the game. So they'll be confused
So you must
by
understand.
what is happening. In the same way, unless we take our understanding of racism, white supremacy to a greater depth, we will not be able to score, meaning to bring about those changes that we would like to see take place.
Dr. Watson, for people who are interested in your books and lectures, where can we get your books?
Well, I think that Pyramid Bookstore has carried the book, but I'm not involved in the marketing end of it at all. That's something that I...
Is there a number or an address where we could write you?
Well, I'm in the D.C. phone book, but don't write to me asking me for the book. You see, Third World Press in Chicago is where the book was published, and they probably could give the information about all the bookstores that they ship books to in the United States. Now their number is 202-651-0700. That's Third World Press in Chicago, Illinois. But Pyramid Bookstores in Maryland and the District of Columbia have also been selling the book.
It's been great having you here on Color Me Poetry, and certainly wish you the very best. The book has done very well, and we wish continued success with the book. The book has been very well received. I know people coming to me and say, "Man, have you read that ISIS Papers?" I said, "Yeah, I read it, man." That's why my copy looks so rough.
Oh, well, I'm glad to see that.
Because I've shared it with many other people. It's good to see other people share their work with other people, and I think that raising the consciousness of our people.
Right.
So it's certainly been great having you here. We're looking forward to having you back. This is Danny Queens, Color Me Poetry, and until next time, Color Me Poetry.